How's it going, guys? Today we are working on a BMW 46. This is the E46 that we have had the bearing problem with. We need to put that back together. I went ahead and reinstalled one of these cheap eBay fuel pumps. As you can see, it's already installed. I have a video I'll put at the top of the screen. There'll be a link to go to that video to do the install itself. Not really a difficult install, but I'm more concerned at this point is if this is actually going to work or what the deal is exactly. As you can see, most of the BMWs either have a Bosch or a Pierburg. This is a Pierburg pump. This is the one that came out of this car. Actually, this might be the one on the X5. Anyway, I bought two of these pumps. We got to do two different cars. These pumps are $15. These pumps here are 30 some bucks for an OEM one. Use fuel pumps at a pretty frequent rate here. A lot of cars sit around. When these cars sit around, especially whenever they are sitting with a little bit of gas in them and not a lot, they tend to have fuel pump issues. So you can see, if you can hear me or not, the wind's blowing. Top of the pump, everything's pretty much the same. The same outlet. The nozzle is a little bit shorter on this one than this one, not much. On the bottom, everything else is the same. Now, I did notice the screens are slightly different. Depends on what car. On the E46, the screen that goes on the bottom is a little bit different. On the e53 X5, it is not. So you might have to mix match your screens that go on the bottom. That depends on what you're doing it on. You can see it actually has a little screen at the bottom of it. And I'm talking about the little deal that pops on the end of it. And here's the screen, or the socket, some people call it. It just snaps on the bottom of the actual pump right here. So, like I said, we already have it installed in the T46. We're going to go and hook the battery up, and we're going to see if it's actually going to run. I guess really at this point, it isn't whether it runs or not. It's whether it holds up. And that's something we're just not going to know until we put some miles in the car. And let me go and get this car started, and we might go ahead and do a little bit of the install video on the E53. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so we got it running, guys. You can see it's burning some of the oil out the manifold. This thing's sitting here about 2 months probably. And that valve cover has a crack. So after that long, it gets a little tiny drip in the manifold, then it spreads out. So when he started from cold, it's been sitting for a while. I don't know if you can hear me or not with all this wind. Let's step over here a little bit. Yeah, so you got to burn all that crap off. The only way that I could really find to fix this is to replace the valve cover itself. And that's about 350 bucks. Been eyeing down possibly butane soldering iron with a flat tip on it and try to melt the crack back together. They're just little hairline cracks. It's really kind of odd how it does that. If it starts smoking really bad, if you guys, I'm sure a lot of you have the exact same problem, I'll let it run for a little bit, turn it off so it don't get too hot. I just looked at the manifold. You can't even see anything on it. There's such little bit of oil on it, but the tiniest bit will make so much smoke and so much problem. So anyway, the $15.99 free shipping eBay fuel pump is running right now. Now the Pierburg's sitting here, and I have the other new one sitting here for the X5. So yeah, it's up and going. The top of the sending unit is pretty nasty. The sending unit, the hose that goes down to the pump itself, there's about a 4-inch piece. I went ahead and put a piece of rubber on it. That plastic brown hose is so brittle, you just touch it and it'll fall apart. So I put a piece of rubber fuel line on it. I put a clamp on both sides of it that goes from here up to the sending unit, and it seemed like that, tightened down well. You always want to make sure you do use fuel line, the reinforced fuel line, especially if it's in a tank like that. A regular line is not going to last long, and gas is going to deteriorate. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Pretty simple video. I'm sure a lot of you guys that have these cars are looking at these pumps right now on eBay and wondering if that's for you. So far, so good. The guy had some really good reviews on them. There's a bunch of people selling those. It is a China pump. It did come from the United States, though. A seller is in New York. So it was here in, 3 or 4 days, which wasn't bad. So this car pretty much, for the most part, is done. I need to put this wheel back on. I'll probably go ahead and do that here in a little bit. Go take this thing for a drive. And I think it had a check engine light still for oxygen sensor. And after the E39 video the other day, before we replace the sensor, we'll definitely look at the wires first and make sure nobody's been there cutting around on stuff. And other than that, yeah, we'll just go through and make sure everything else is good with this thing, and you know, I guess it's ready to put on Craigslist.